We've all seen zombies, mutants, creatures that look like us but aren't really us. Whether it be from a dying alien star or some form of infectious plague. Fiction, right? Think again. Because the next global threat is potentially already in the dirt under your very feet. The CNN says it's already spreading across hospitals, homes, and highways, and that we're not ready. So here's my question. Is this article giving us facts, or are we just being scared into submission? Into clicking, into subscribing, into buying the idea that we're one headline away from a bio-apocalypse? I'm gonna break it down using REBOC to see if the CNN is informing us or just infecting us with fear. Published on May 6, 2025, this CNN article by Sandy Lamotte plunges headfirst into a chilling reality. Drug-resistant fungi are spreading faster than we can treat them. The piece is packed with urgent quotes from doctors, heartbreaking patient cases, and global health warnings. It paints a world where even the smallest cut could spiral into a fatal infection. But just because something is urgent doesn't mean it's credible. So let's slow it down and break this article apart using the REBOC framework to find out if it's really journalism or just dressed up fear bait. Let's start with reliability. Okay, so the publisher is CNN. You might think mainstream, maybe a touch of liberal bias. Fair. But love it or hate it, CNN isn't a basement blog. It's a global news network of editors, fact checkers, and legal teams breathing down every single health story. This article isn't quoting basic conspiracy podcasts. It leans on heavy hitters, the CDC, World Health Organization, and top-tier medical institutions. These aren't anonymous insiders. They're global authorities. Plus, CNN's parent company is Warner Bros. Discovery. That's not exactly a sketchy Facebook page trying to sell you garlic oil as a cure. And the author, Sandy Lamotte, she's not fresh out of college chasing clicks. She's a seasoned medical journalist with a track record of producing in-depth health coverage. So when it comes to credibility at the source level, this article starts on solid ground. So let's talk expertise. No, she's not a doctor, but she's not guessing either. She's been producing award-winning health journalism for decades. For WebMD, Discovery Health, and now CNN's Health Desk. In other words, she's got a history of accomplishments. But more importantly, she defers to real experts. She has mentioned Dr. Neil Clancy, infectious disease specialist at the University of Pittsburgh, Dr. George Thompson from UC Davis, one of the top medical mycology voices in the country, and Dr. Jaitin Vyas from Columbia, breaking down how these fungal infections spread and evolve. And then there's Dr. Chiller, yes, that's his real name, from the CDC's Mycotic Diseases branch. He straight up says, we're seeing more cases, more resistance, and fewer treatments that actually work. That's not drama, that's data from a disease control veteran. So on the expertise front, the article delivers. The facts don't float, they're grounded in real science. From people who've dedicated their lives to track infections that most of us barely know even exist. B is for balance. The article presents hard data for upfront. 3.8 million deaths from fungal infections per year, and only 17 antifungal drugs available worldwide. It references major institutions like the World Health Organization and includes expert testimony from credible researchers. But alongside those facts, it includes emotionally charged elements, like the story of Rob Purdy, who'd feared he'd die on Valentine's Day, and even a reference to some zombie fiction from the video game The Last of Us. Now, these moments make the article more memorable. We can connect to them as people, and we feel more attached to the story and we trust the author more. But they also shift the tone. What's missing is a broader perspective. There's little mention of ongoing medical advancements, or the relative rarity of these infections in healthy individuals. While the emotional stories are impactful, the article could benefit from a more balanced tone, one that informs without relying so heavily on fear and dramatic framing. O is for objectivity. While the article is fact-based and uses credible sources, its tone leans heavily towards alarm. The language is urgent, and emotional anecdotes are placed alongside statistics without much contrast or reflection. For example, after citing WHO data, it immediately moves into a patient's personal fear story, without giving readers the space to distinguish between broad risk and individual experience. There's also little coverage of counterpoints. We don't hear from anyone offering a more moderate take or mentioning recent medical progress. So while the article does present accurate information, its objectivity is limited by how that information is framed. It's written to persuade, not just to inform. C stands for currency. This article was published in May 2025, and it draws from WHO data released just a month earlier. The CDC numbers cited are from late 2023, and the piece even discusses experimental drugs currently in trial this year. In other words, this isn't a repost of last year's headlines. It's built on up-to-date science, current events, and unfolding clinical research. Quotes from today reflect present-day realities. The statistics, while alarming, are recent. Nothing here feels recycled or outdated. And when an article is this current, it demands attention. We can question tone or bias, sure, but we can't ignore how timely it is. With older reports, we have the luxury of hindsight. With this one, the risks are still unfolding. So here's where I land. This article is credible. It's urgent, yes, and emotionally charged, sure, but that doesn't make it manipulative. Instead, it makes it motivated. The facts hold up, the experts are real, the science is current. And while the tone may lean dramatic, it does so with a purpose, to get people to care about something that's largely been ignored. I didn't realize how underfunded and overlooked fungal research really was until I read this. In a world of noise and panic-driven headlines, this piece does not just shout, it informs. And that's what sets it apart. In the end, I think CNN has delivered a powerful, accurate warning. It didn't need to present both sides of the debate, because in this case, the facts are the story, and they got my attention. When it comes to public health, fear isn't always fake. Sometimes it's the wake-up call we didn't know we needed. Don't wait for a zombie fungus to reach your lungs before you take it seriously. This has been Ali Abbas breaking it down with REBOC. Think critically, read intentionally, and always, always question the headline.